Hey everybody, it's Jessen here and welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything. So if you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching on a replay, hello. Make sure you leave some comments down below as well and let me know what you think. So this show is really about answering your questions, the viewers. And if you are watching this right now, and maybe you've got a question that you'd like to ask me, and I mean ask me anything to do with your personal life, could be your relationships, health, whatever it might be, your business, your profession, your career, your finances, it doesn't matter. If you're going through something difficult, you can ask me as well. I'm an ex-psychiatric nurse, so I am very well versed in helping people who are struggling with their mental health too. So if that's you, feel free to ask me questions. Now there's two ways you can ask me questions. Number one, follow me across my social media channels and you'll be able to see whenever I'm about to do an Ask Jessen Anything session. There will be a link sent to you if you want to do that, and my team will give you that link and then you can ask me a question like that. Alternatively, you can actually ask down below in the comment section on this video. Now, if you ask a question down here, I cannot guarantee it will get seen. However, we do our best to scan after every single episode to see which questions are coming up, to see if we can include them in the next episode. So look, I'm going to get cracking with this because I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but I've got some cracking questions that have come in and I want to jump straight into it. So I appreciate you once again. If you're watching live, even if you're watching on the replay, make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel, as well as leave a comment down below. I love it when you engage because I go back and I read all the comments. So please make sure you do that. So let's get stuck into it. We've got a question here from Margot. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Margot Basiorka. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. You got a cool name, by the way. So the question is, how do you see world economic situations and if it's a good time to think about business? Well, look, great question, Margot, because there's a lot of people watching this right now thinking, what on earth is going on with the economy? It's going bonkers. It's going mad. And I completely understand that. Now, look, there's two ways to look at this. There are people out there right now saying that the economy is bad. And then there's also people out there right now, like me and a lot of my friends and colleagues and clients, that are saying there's an opportunity here. So what's the difference between those two different types of people? Perception, that's all, okay? Look, they say one man's loss is another man's gain. You see, the economy is always going up and down. Now, if you want to get technical with this, let's talk about the trading markets, for example, the stock exchange. Trading is a bit like breathing. Sometimes you breathe out, so there's a big, massive rush where the stock prices rise up, and then you have to inhale to bring it back down. So the market's always going to be doing that. The economy is always going to be doing that. But here's the thing. Here's the interesting fact, Margot. Most businesses are actually started during economic downturn. They are started during recessions, and let me explain why. People got no choice. What other option have you got? You can sit there and wait for the economy to get better, or you can take charge of your economy. So it's my belief that there are two types of economy. There's the economy, and then there's your economy. You see, the difference between the economy and your economy is that when you build your own economy, as in you don't rely on the economy, suddenly these things don't bother you. They don't, because you're taking responsibility for your own life. Now, I'm not saying that the economy itself won't impact your economy. Of course it will. Like, for example, if you're in business right now and suddenly you rely on people who earn a living to pay you for your products and services, and maybe they get, I don't know, a cut in pay or whatever, and they can no longer afford you. Of course, that could happen. But what are you doing to diversify? What are you doing to adjust so that you can make your products and services more affordable? What more affordable solutions are you providing for people so that you don't lose their custom entirely? Okay, so to answer your question, absolutely, it's a great time. There's always a great time. The time is now, right? So absolutely, I would look in this economic downturn, what problems are going on in the world right now that you could potentially solve. I always say to people, follow the money. Where's the money right now? Doesn't matter what's happening with the economy, people are still spending money. For example, when the economy's down, people are still spending money on food. They're still, look, you can say to people the economy's down, times are tough. Go and walk down the street right now and see how many restaurants are full and how many cafes are full. People are still buying food. Supermarkets full. What I'm trying to say is follow the money. If you're looking for money right now, would you take, let's say you wanted water. If you wanted water, would you take a bucket and put it outside and hope that it rains? Or would you take that bucket, go to the river and scoop up a big bucket of water where the water's actually flowing? Chances are you go to the river. It's the same as money. Some of us are setting up businesses and setting up shop on the river banks, hoping we catch a little drip of rain, where we should be setting up our business is in the river itself. Where's money already exchanging? Where's money already flowing? If money's already crossing hands, passing hands in a particular industry or sector, what you want to do is set up shop in between and intercept some of that money and intercept the money flow. All right, I hope that makes sense. So great question though. All right, next question from Jay Moore. How you doing, Jay? Thank you for this question. How do you maintain discipline in anything you wish to achieve? Well, you know what, Jay? This is a great question because a lot of people are probably going to benefit from it. I used to be one of those believers that you need to become more disciplined. If you want to achieve success in life, you've got to be more disciplined. Then I realized a number of years ago that I'm actually talking nonsense. I'm already disciplined. I'm disciplined in doing the wrong stuff. Okay? I'm already disciplined. I'm disciplined in eating bad food. I'm disciplined in not working out. I'm disciplined in talking crap to myself. I'm already disciplined. I'm just disciplined in the wrong way. So what I'm trying to say to you, Jay, is you don't need to become more disciplined. You already know how to do that. What you've got to learn how to do is how to shift the focus of your discipline. And for most of us, the things that we need to do to make our lives better, we don't become disciplined over those things because there's some pain attached to it. Well, let me wake you up a little bit, Jay. Maybe you need to hear this, and maybe people watching this need to hear this. It isn't meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. Life is meant to be tough. Life is meant to be hard. Life is meant to bring you challenges because with these challenges, you grow. Look, it's a bit like parenting. I see a lot of parents trying to wrap their kids up in cotton wool. I initially thought when I had my boy, my firstborn Dawson, I was like, yeah, maybe we should protect him. Maybe we should wrap him up in cotton wool. And then I realized I'm actually setting him up for failure. Because if he doesn't realize what the actual real world is like, as he gets older, he's going to be in for one hell of a shock. So what am I trying to tell you? You've got to expose yourself to challenges. You've got to expose yourself to hardship if you are going to grow. Like, you won't know what true happiness is until you've been sad. You won't know what love is until you've been abandoned at some point. And what I'm trying to say to you is, if you want to become disciplined, you've got to be okay with it being hard. It's not meant to be easy. But most of us, here's the challenge, Jay, because you're not alone. It's a lot of people out there. A lot of people, they're interested in the prize, not the process. That's it. Like, most people want a six-pack, right? They want the prize, but they're not interested in eating the right food. They're not interested in training 5 times a week. They're not interested in doing the things that they need to do, discipline, to get the result, to get the prize. What are they more interested in? Being disciplined in the easy way out, eating crap, not really going to the gym, not working out. And then they're wondering why they don't have the six-pack. And the same in business. Everybody wants to have a thriving business, but not everybody wants to do the work. So what I'm trying to say to you is, how do you get to the point where you shift your discipline or shift the focus of your discipline? Be at one with the fact that it's not going to be easy. It's not at all. You have to be at one with that. You have to accept it. That's what you got to do. And you've got to attach some pain to your current situation, Jay. Look, if you want to get disciplined, attach some pain to your current situation. So many of us right now, unfortunately, we don't attach pain to our situation. We're too comfortable. Look, let's be honest. Let's stick with the example of a six-pack. I don't know, Jay, you may already have a six-pack. I don't know. But my point is this. If you really, really wanted a six-pack, you've got to attach some pain to not having one. For example, if by having too much fat around your abdomen, if that's going to be the case, then guess what, Jay? You're going to go to an early grave. Why? Because they statistically, and it's science as well, the wider your waist is, the higher chance you've got of heart disease, diabetes, cholesterol, and at the end of the day, you are stealing years away from your life, and you're stealing years away from the people that maybe you're living for, such as your family or your friends or your children. I don't know, anyone, right? You're robbing them, okay? So you've got to attach some pain to that. And if you attach some pain to that, suddenly you go, I want a six-pack. Or maybe it's just purely superficial. Maybe you're just vain. Maybe you're just like, hey, I just want to look incredible. Because when I look incredible, I feel attractive. And when I feel attractive, I'm going to attract the right partner. Well, make it vain. Because if you look like crap right now, chances are you're not going to attract the person that you want, and you'll go around being lonely for the rest of your freaking life. And that sucks. So, look, I know I'm being extreme with this, but what I'm trying to say is attach some pain to your current situation. All right? Hope that makes sense. Great question, though. Next, Paul, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for your question. Random question. Where do you get your food recipes from? Loving your pictures of dishes that you post online. For those of you who don't know, I love cooking. If you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me on Instagram right now at Jessen James _official. And I always post a lot of pictures on my Instagram and on my Facebook of my meals that I prepare. So if you haven't seen those before, go and have a look. Now, just some background on this, because it ties in with your question, Paul. Where do I get my recipes from? I make stuff up. I love preparing things that I just experiment with. And the reason for that is because I grew up watching my mum cook. I used to spend hours in the kitchen watching her do it. Just watching her. I never got involved. Not when I was younger anyway. I never got involved. I used to watch what she was doing and how she prepped stuff and how she would adjust the flavors and the spices and the this and this and this and this. And then as I got a little bit older, I started prepping meals for myself and cooking and cooking and cooking. And then when I got to university, I just loved cooking. It became my go-to thing. Now as an ex-nurse, if anyone's a nurse, they'll know this. When you go to university, you're not like normal students. You don't just do lectures. You actually have to go and do practicals, and you have to go on the wards, and you have to do shifts. And for me, I used to, like everyone else used to finish uni at, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock, whatever it was. For me, sometimes I'd be back home at about 9 o'clock at night because I'd just been doing a late shift on the ward or something like that. And I was tired. And in psychiatry as well, even though I was a student nurse, you get caught up in a lot of the stuff that's going on with the patients, and it's hard work. So what did I have to do? I had to find a way of unwinding. And for most people, they turn to drink, which is what a lot of the students did. For me, it was cooking. I used to love just cooking. I'd come home, I'd put my stuff down, I'd get washed up, and then I'd start cooking. And I just loved cooking. I love experimenting. So for me, I just love experimenting with stuff. I do, Paul, by the way, I do actually go out there and look at inspirational ideas. I see what other people are cooking. I never follow recipes. I'm terrible with recipes because I'm always like, that's not going to be nice. And I just adjust stuff as I go along. I get a rough idea from some of the things I see online. But at the end of the day, I just give it a go. And I like presenting stuff nicely, even if it's just for me. I like presenting it nicely because I think it gives me more appetite. And I'm a big believer in respect, doing things properly. A lot of us don't do things properly. We just slop the food on and da-da-da-da-da. But look, you know what? Take some pride in what you're doing. If you take pride in how you look, if you take pride in what you're doing, everything else is just beautiful, okay? And a lot of people do that, right? So great question. But if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook, go and check it out. I do like to post some of my meals and some of the things that I do. So some people want to know if I'm bringing out a cookbook at some point. Who knows? If I get enough subscriptions onto my YouTube channel, if I get enough yeses in the comment section, maybe I will write a cookbook. Would you buy it? Let me know. But I appreciate you. Now, look, if you're just watching now, if you're just tuned in live or you're just tuning in on a replay, as I mentioned before, this is my Ask Jessen Anything show. This is where you get to ask me absolutely anything you want. So do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like and follow this page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and smash that notification bell so you get notified anytime any new content is coming out from me or when I go live on this channel. Okay, next question from an anonymous. The rest of the questions are all anonymous. Interesting. Anonymous people. Well, these questions are great. Let's take a look. Jessen, you are open about your divorce. With such a high rate of divorce, do you believe the concept of marriage is becoming outdated in today's society? Look, first and foremost, I think it's a matter of perception. and I think it's a matter of preference. I think from a young age, it's drummed into us to be educated by a certain age, to have qualified at university by a certain age, to have got your job at a certain age, to find a partner at a certain age, to get married at a certain age, to buy a house at a certain age, to have a baby by a certain age, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And society's moved on so much now where everything's changed. Long gone are those days where, you needed to be married when you were like 18 years old. This changed. There's people getting married in their 50s and 60s and 70s. It doesn't matter. But the point is, it's a matter of perception and preference. So in some cultures, it's obviously something that you need to do. Now, for me, just for full transparency, when I got married, it was the thing to do in my culture. Like, my ex-wife and I, we were, I don't know, 28, 29 when we met. And in our community, we were like, we weren't married yet. And in the Mauritian community, they're like, oh, you're not married yet. Why are you not married yet? Why are you not married yet? And you know what? I reckon part of both of us succumbed to external pressures and got married. And this is tying in with this question. What is my opinion on this? Sometimes if you're getting married for the wrong reasons, as in it's to impress other people or because it's culturally right, it's the thing to do, all that kind of stuff, it could end up being the worst decision that you ever make. You've got to get married for the right reasons. You get married because you want to get married. And this whole concept of finding someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with, great. Do you need to get married to do that though? I don't know. I know some, for example, some women, they really want their partner to propose to them because if they don't, it just shows that they're not committed. And some men are the same too. If their partner, if she doesn't want to get married, they see it as a sign of, oh, she's not committed to me. So it becomes this whole commitment issue. But do you need a piece of paper and a ring on your finger to suggest that you are committed to someone? I don't think so, because I know a lot of people who are married who are not committed. I know a lot of people who are married that cheat. I know a lot of people that are married that actually don't act like they're married. And what's the point in being married then? Because it's just a paperwork exercise. It's just for show. I think commitment comes up in your behavior. So in this day and age, if you want to get married, great. But whether you're married or not, you've got to act committed to your partner. Because that's what marriage is about, isn't it? It's about committing your life to another person. Till death do us part and all that jazz, all right? So what I'm trying to say to you is, you decide. I think it's a beautiful thing, personally. I think marriage is a great tradition. And I think it's going to help society because, look, don't get me started on this, but society has lost the plot when it comes to morals, values, beliefs, ethics. We've gone bonkers, right? So I think marriage in itself is a nice tradition. But whether you should get married or not is entirely up to you. Like I said, there are people who are married who are not committed. There are people who are married that are committed. There are people who are not married who aren't committed. And there are people who are not married, but they're super committed to each other. I know couples who are not married, but they've been with each other from day dot. They've got a house together. They've got kids together. They've got grandkids, but they're not even married. But they're happy. Do what makes you happy. So it's entirely up to you. But I do think you need to decide. And I think you need to remove any external pressures that people put on you when it comes to marriage. Some people might not get married for their whole life. It's fine. It's not a problem. As long as you're happy, it's the main thing. All right? It's a great question. Next, here's a good one. Is the concept of positive thinking overrated and potentially harmful? So, yes is my main answer. Let me explain. I think too many people go around with just a positive mental attitude where they ignore what's actually going on. Look, here's my problem with personal development. If you follow me, if you've ever, been to any of my events or heard my talks or consumed any of my products or my courses or my programs or my services, if you're interested in doing that, by the way, just check out the show notes. There's loads of ways that you can carry on working with me if you want to. But if you've ever done any of that, you'll know I'm a big believer in mindset. I'm a huge advocate for staying focused on the solution, not the problem. I'm a massive advocate for positive thinking, but here's the thing. I'm also a massive advocate for not being ignorant. Look, If you're going through money challenges right now, and you're sitting there going, positive thinking, it's all going to be fine. It's going to be good. I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. But your behavior is not doing anything to change your financial situation. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. So this is where potentially positive thinking can be harmful, because I don't care how positively you think. If you're not behaving in a way that's going to get you out of this hole, you can sit there and use the law of attraction and sit under a tree and meditate and whatever you're going to do and say, I'm positive, I'm positive. And when you open your eyes, guess what, my friend? It's going to be there staring in your face that you still got money issues. It's like your health. Anything that you ignore is going to get worse. And the more you ignore it, the more it's going to show up. But for most people, they just go positive thinking, positive thinking. Look, I'm all for having a positive attitude. Have an optimistic attitude, not a pessimistic attitude. I'm all up for that. But the downside to that is it can cause ignorance. So don't ignore your problems. See them how they are. Don't see them worse. Don't make them worse. Like sometimes we look at a situation and make it worse than what it is. No, I want you to look at your situation and accept that, hey, you know what? This is a bit of a tricky situation I'm in. I've got to do something about it. I need to do something about it. If I don't do something about it, it's going to get worse. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to look for solutions rather than focus on the problem, because what you focus on expands, and I want the solution to expand, not the problem. Have that positive mental attitude, but get off your backside and do something about it. So great question. Great question. Next question. Should individuals confront their deepest fears or learn to accept and live with them? Look, I'm a big believer in this. Life is full of regrets, but people regret for the wrong reasons. People do things in life and then they regret that they did them. But look, sure, I've got things that I regret. There's people in my life that I've hurt. There's people in the past that I've hurt. There's people that perhaps I could have been a nicer individual to, and I regret that. If I can go back and turn back the clock, I would like to do something different. But the flip side to that is I've learned from it. And had I not have behaved in a certain way or said a certain thing or hurt someone or whatever it is, I wouldn't have learned from it. I probably wouldn't have known that I have that in me. So there's some gratitude that goes towards it. So do I truly regret it? I don't know. It's difficult. Do I regret anything in life? I don't know. There's some little remorse, I suppose, rather than regret. But it's a difficult one, you know. This you got to look at it like, I don't know. If you go back to your childhood and school, like I could have done a lot better in school. Maybe you could have done a lot better in school if you weren't so distracted or trying to be cool like I was. But my point is look, do you really regret that? I don't know, because I had to get more resilient as I got older, because I didn't have the freaking distinctions and the triple A's and whatever it is that you get nowadays. I didn't have everything educational wise when I was growing up. But now I believe I'm a lot more resourceful because of that. Because I'm not just, I wasn't just shoehorned into your traditional accountant, doctor, lawyer, whatever it is. So I don't really have any regrets per se. But what am I trying to get at with this? Okay, because the question was around, should people face their deepest, darkest fears or learn to accept and live with them? There's this concept of regret, which I think is misunderstood. Don't regret what you've done, like I just explained. Don't regret what you've done. Regret what you haven't done. I'll say it again. Don't regret what you've done. Regret what you haven't done yet. What have you not done? And chances are there are things in your life right now that you would love to do, and you haven't done them because you've got some deep, dark fears around them. Maybe there's a business you want to start right now. Maybe you hate your job. Maybe you don't want to work for anyone anymore. I mean, look, for me, I am completely and utterly unemployable. If I got a job tomorrow, I guarantee you I'd get fired on the first day. Why? Because I don't do rules. Don't tell me don't do this. Don't tell me to clock in at this time, clock out at that time, go for lunch at this time, do this like this, do that. Not for me. I'll get fired on my first day. Maybe some of you. Who'd get fired on their first day? Give me a yes down below or comment in the section. Let me know if you are unemployable. Write it down there. Write in the comments below. I'm unemployable, Jess. I want to know where my unemployable people are at. But my point is this, okay? Like, if you are right now in a job that doesn't light you up and you really want to work for yourself, but you're scared of making that leap, then live with the pain of regret of not doing what it is that you could have done. That hurts more. Because one day, my friends, we're going to get to that point where we're about to check out. And I don't know when that moment is. It could be any time for anyone. When the big man upstairs says it's time to go, it's time to go. And what I want to ask you is this. When you get to your deathbed, when you're about to check out, are you going to look back at all the things you could have done and live with that? Well, I say live with that. Transition into the new world, pass away and leave regretting all of that? Or are you going to look back on your life and go, you know what, I gave it a shot? Look, it's up to you. You've only got one life, my friends. Live it. Live it. What is the point in living your life never knowing what if? I would rather know than die wondering what if. So whatever deep, dark fear you've got right now around anything, it could be around starting a business. It could be around, I don't know, leaving your partner and living life on your terms because you're not happy. Whatever it is, whatever your deepest, darkest fear is, turn into it. Because Winston Churchill said, whenever you turn into your problems, you halve its impact. Most of us are not turning into stuff. We're running away from it. So I would say choose. You want to live a life of regret? When I say regret, not the things that you've done, the things that you haven't done. Or you want to live a life knowing that you gave it a shot. You decide. It's entirely up to you. Okay, great question though. Here's another one. In the pursuit of constant self-improvement, a form of perfectionism that leads to dissatisfaction. Okay, I'm trying to understand this question. Is the pursuit of constant self-improvement a form of perfectionism that leads to dissatisfaction? Okay, so I'm guessing what this question means is the constant pursuit of getting better, learning, growing, developing, perfectionism, is it harming your progress? And the answer is abso-freaking-lutely. Listen up very, very carefully, especially for those of you who like to overdose on content. For example, I'm very grateful that you're watching my YouTube channel right now. I'm very grateful that you're watching this particular video, and long may it last, and long may you continue to binge watch on Jessen James. But if I catch you watching anybody else, there'll be trouble. No, I'm just kidding. My point is this. If you are constantly learning, constantly sharpening the axe, constantly waiting to get great before you go and launch, you're never really going to know what you're capable of. It's that saying around ships, right? Ships weren't built to remain in the harbor. Ships were built to sail the seas. So there's no point having a nice shiny ship, making sure everything is prim and proper, if it's never really going to be used for what it was built for. So what am I telling you right now, my friends? You weren't built to just educate yourself 24/7. You weren't built to just try and line up all your ducks so that it gets ready for the big day. You weren't built for that. You were built to take action. You were built to do. If you go back to our ancestry, no one was prepared for anything. When the first saber-toothed tiger came along, do you think people were prepared for it? No, they just ran. Why? Because survival kicked in. And my point is this. I believe in sloppy success over perfect mediocrity. Sloppy success over perfect mediocrity. There's that saying, right? You don't have to be great to get started, but you've got to get started to be great. And my problem with most people in the personal development world, that most people, once they have this self-awareness, are like, ooh, I can work on my mindset and I can go to events and I can do this and I can do that and I can do that. Like, what you see them doing is that they're overdosing on information. They're consuming so much and not producing anything. And in my opinion, a lot of the times people just do this as a distraction technique and a delaying technique to stop them doing what it is that they want to do. Kind of ties in with the last question around fear. Maybe you're just scared to actually implement, so you just consistently trick yourself into looking like you're busy by learning, studying, preparing. So look, there's only so much you can consume. I'm not telling you to stop learning. Please, look, I love reading, I love learning, I love doing all these things, but the best way for you to learn is to do. Like you can read as many textbooks as you want. It's never going to be the same. It's a bit like business. I don't have any business degrees or business qualifications. But I tell you what, I've got more experience than the person who just read a book on it and has never done a business. I've got more experience and I've got more know-how than the person who studied business to teach business in university but has never actually run a business. Why? Because I've done it. I've had some incredible wins. I've had some spectacular fails. I've been up, down, left, right more times than I can freaking count. But my point is this. I learned by doing, not talking or just studying. So don't be that ship in the harbor. Get out there and freaking sail those seas. All right? So last question. How can traditional gender roles within relationships be redefined to promote equality and mutual respect? Do I really need to go into this on this episode? Whoever asked that question, great question, but you're about to open up a can of worms. So I'm going to do my best not to go off on one because I have very strong opinions on gender roles. Now, please understand this. When I say I've got strong opinions on gender roles, it's not to say that I am, misogynistic or, whatever it is, okay? I believe that man and woman were designed to live in unison, to live in harmony, and to complement each other. I genuinely believe this, okay? Men and women were created to live in harmony, in unison. Now, in order to do that, there needs to be some give and take and some acceptance of roles. And it really comes back down to perception and your preference. Now, let me use me as an example because I can only comment on myself. I'm a very traditional man. When I mean I'm a traditional man, I'm a provider, okay? I'm going to go out there and work. I'm going to provide for my family. I'm going to make sure they got a roof over their head. I'm going to make sure the bills are paid. I'm going to make sure everything is sorted out. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to provide for them because it's my duty and my responsibility as a man. That's my perception, all right? And I believe that there are a lot of men out there who are the same as me. They're providers, they're protectors, they want to do right by their family, and they don't need or even want their partner to go out and work. They don't need their partner to go out and work. Their partner can actually stay at home, look after family, have her hobbies, have her friends, whatever it is she wants to do. Or if she really wants to go and work, she's doing it because she actually wants to, not because she has to. Everything else taken care of by me. And I'm a big believer in being a traditional man like that. And there are many traditional men like that. In fact, if you're one of those traditional men, let me know down below. But here's the thing, though, to kind of steer back into that question. We're living in a society where sometimes men like myself are being oppressed for wanting to be a man. We're being oppressed for having this moral compass around what we believe is traditional and traditional masculinity, where we're providers and protectors and we look after our loved ones and we look after our family. Again, I'm not oppressing women. I'm not saying my partner can't work or blah, blah, blah. If you want to go and work, knock yourself out, sweetheart, but you know you don't need to. You know you don't need to. You're going out and working because it's your passion. It's your thing that you love to do. And it's also something that you know in your head that you feel like you're doing valuable. It's contributing to the world or whatever it is, right? So you knock yourself out, but you know you don't need to. And I think there's a lot of men out there who are like me, who are unfortunately now feeling afraid to talk about this because they feel like they're being oppressed. Whereas me, I'm just being honest. I'm a traditional man. However, things have changed. Society has changed. Now, if you go back historically, women didn't work. They stayed at home. They raised the family. They looked after the house. The man went out and worked, right? Why? Well, it was a lot cheaper back then, okay? It was way easier to live back then. Now, because the cost of living is so high, both have to go and work. Man and woman have to go and work. And as a result of that, and ladies, here's where I feel for you, and I think this happens a lot, and men, you need to step up. Just my opinion. I think a lot of ladies who have to go and work, they're married to someone or in a relationship with someone, they've got children together, but they have to go and work. The man goes to work as well. I think it's sad that a lot of the traditional I don't know, responsibilities of the woman still land on the woman. So she's still got to cook. She's still got to clean. She's still got to make sure the kids have got their uniforms. She's still got to make sure the house is in order. She's still got to do this, this, and this, as well as run a career or whatever it is. Men, that's not cool. That isn't cool. You don't earn the right now to come home and put your feet up and say, well, I've been working hard all day and providing, when your wife or your girlfriend or your partner is out there freaking providing too. No, that means you need to roll your sleeves up, mate, and you need to clean, and you need to cook, and you need to share in the childcare too, because that's equality, in my opinion. However, on the flip side of that, and this is where I'm very passionate about this, if you are a provider as a man, I'm going back to men for a sec. If you're a man and you work hard and you pay all the bills and you provide for your family, you make sure no matter how you're feeling, you show up and you get out there and you do your work and you pay those bills. You make sure that there's food on the table. You make sure there's a roof over their head, clothes on their back. You protect your family. You'll die for your family. You're there for them. And every single person in your family, your partner, your children, everyone around you knows they can depend and count on you. If you are that person, then I think it's perfectly okay, providing your partner doesn't work and doesn't do anything else, for you to come home and not have to lift a finger. Again, I'm just being traditional, okay? I think that then and only then, if your partner hasn't kept the house clean, if she hasn't provided what she should be providing at home, as in raising the kids right, making sure the house is in order, because she's got nothing else to do, then I think you have every right to be upset if she hasn't done that, in my opinion. However, if your wife's out there working and you're out there working and you come home and you just put your feet up without helping her, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And it's disrespectful to her. So sort yourself out. I believe, again, complement each other. It's about complementing each other. It's very, very, very important. And I think, yes, of course, tradition has gone out the window in this day and age. I'm not going to get onto it on this freaking episode, but for many of you, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's mad. I don't know what's going on with traditional roles and gender and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just bonkers for me, in my opinion. All right. I just grew up in a very simple way where we have a man and we have a woman and we both have roles and we both have capabilities. There are certain things that women can do that men cannot even dream of doing. And there are also things that men can do that women can't even dream of doing. So this whole thing about women wanting to be equal and men wanting to be equal, it's going too far nowadays. Look, I'll leave you with this. If right this very moment, just being honest, you could disagree with me if you want, but I'm being honest. If you were at home on your own, lady, let me ask the ladies this question. Ladies, let me ask you this. If you were at home on your own, sweetheart, and someone was trying to break into your house, when you called the police, let's say there was a group of men outside trying to break into your home and you're living on your own or you're on your own in the house, when you call the police, would you want a few female police officers to turn up or would you want male police officers to show up? And if you're honest with yourself, you will answer correctly and you will say you want men to show up. Why? Because the men are going to do a better job at fending off those thugs and fending off those thieves from your front door than a couple of female officers who just rock up. Let's be perfectly blunt and honest, okay? Now, you might call me sexist for this, but you know what? I'm just spitting my own truths. And if you've got any sense, hopefully you'll see what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that women bring value and men bring value. Let's stop trying to outdo each other and start working together. Okay? So those are all of the questions I have for Ask Jessen Anything. Did you enjoy that episode? I hope you did. If you did, remember to leave some comments below. Remember to hit subscribe. Go and do it now. Do it now. I'm waiting. Go and do it now. Hit subscribe. Smash that notification bell so that you get notified when I go live. Like this video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and if you've got a question for the next episode of Ask Jessen Anything, feel free to ask it in the comment section below. And what would you like to ask? Let me know down below. So I appreciate every single one of you who are watching live. Mwah. I love you guys. For those of you watching on a replay, I love you too. I appreciate you gifting me some of your time so that hopefully I can add some value to your life in exchange. So I appreciate you. Until next time, remember to hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, let your friends know, share this video, copy the link, share. Sharing is caring. I reckon there's some things I discussed during this episode that a lot of people need to hear, all right? So I appreciate you, I appreciate your support, and until next time, I hope you have an incredible, incredible day, evening, whatever it is that you're doing, and I appreciate every single one of you. Mwah. See you later.